Abraham, the father of many nations, had died. He lived a long, full life. His son Isaac mourned him deeply. Isaac was 40 years old when he married Rebekah. They lived in the land God promised to Abraham. Isaac continued his father's legacy of faith. He worshipped the one true God. He lived a life of obedience, following God's commands. Isaac became the heir to God's covenant with Abraham. This covenant promised blessings and a great nation. Isaac carried this responsibility with him. He knew God had chosen him. Rebekah was unable to have children for a long time. Isaac prayed for her. God heard Isaac's prayer. Rebekah became pregnant. She felt a struggle within her womb. This was unusual. She sought God's guidance. God revealed to her that she carried twins. These twins would become two nations. One would be stronger than the other. The older would serve the younger. The twins were born. The firstborn, Esau, was covered in hair. This surprised his parents. The second, Jacob, held on to Esau's heel as if trying to overtake him. This marked the start of their rivalry. Their contrasting natures were evident from birth. God's choice of Jacob over Esau was significant. It challenged the societal norms of that time. The firstborn son usually inherited the father's blessings. However, God chose Jacob, the younger son, to carry on the covenant. This highlighted God's sovereignty. It emphasized that his plans are not bound by human traditions. This choice did not diminish Esau's worth in God's eyes. It simply meant that the covenant blessings would pass through Jacob's lineage. This theme of God choosing the unexpected is seen throughout the Bible. It reminds us that God's ways are higher than our ways. One day Esau returned from hunting, famished. He found Jacob cooking stew. The aroma filled the air, tempting Esau. He begged Jacob for some of the red stuff. Jacob saw an opportunity. He offered to trade his stew for Esau's birthright. Esau, driven by his immediate hunger, made a rash decision. He despised his birthright. He valued a bowl of stew more than his spiritual inheritance. He swore an oath to Jacob. He traded his birthright for the stew. This decision would have far-reaching consequences. Section 5. The significance of the birthright. The birthright was a significant privilege in that culture. It carried both material and spiritual blessings. The firstborn son received a double portion of the inheritance. He also held a position of leadership within the family. Most importantly, the birthright included being the line through which the covenant with God would continue. Esau treated this birthright lightly. He acted impulsively and selfishly. This showed a lack of respect for God's blessings. It demonstrated a disregard for the covenant promises. This event serves as a warning to us. We should not take our relationship with God for granted. Section 6. Character contrasts. Jacob and Esau. The story of Jacob and Esau highlights their contrasting characters. Esau was impulsive, driven by his immediate desires. Jacob was more calculating, willing to strategize to achieve his goals. These differences were evident in their actions and choices. Jacob's actions in acquiring the birthright were cunning. He took advantage of his brother's weakness. However, it's important to remember that God had chosen Jacob. He was working out his plan through Jacob's actions. Section 7. God's unconditional election. The story of Jacob and Esau demonstrates God's unconditional election. God chose Jacob before he was even born. This choice was not based on their actions or merit. It was based solely on God's sovereign will and purpose. This concept of election is often debated. However, it emphasizes God's freedom to choose whomever he desires for his purposes. It reminds us that his ways are not our ways. Section 8. Rebekah's role, a mother's influence. Rebekah also played a significant role in this story. She received God's revelation about the twins' destinies. She favored Jacob and helped him obtain the birthright. Her actions, though seemingly manipulative, were driven by her understanding of God's will. Rebekah's story highlights the influence mothers have on their children. It also shows that even flawed individuals can be used by God to accomplish his purposes. Section 9. Conclusion, Lessons from Genesis 25. The story of Jacob and Esau offers valuable lessons. God's sovereignty and his freedom to choose. The importance of valuing our spiritual inheritance. The dangers of impulsiveness and the consequences of our choices. The impact of parental influence and guidance. The story, while ancient, still resonates today. It reminds us of the importance of seeking God's will in our lives and appreciating the blessings he bestows upon us.